Welcome to the Chicago Bears Podcast, a presentation of ESPN Chicago, Chicago's home for sports. Here's your host, Pat, the designer.
Bear down, Bears fans. Welcome into another edition of the Chicago Bears Podcast. Pat, the designer, in the building. John Jurko sitting to my left as always. Jurko.
I'm here.
Here for another Friday. How are you feeling today?
I feel great. Fantastic. Got a weekend full of golf activities awaiting me. Got a couple days off next week and got July 4th or, right after. So the next 2 weeks kind of play themselves out nice for the golf course.
You seem to always schedule that perfectly in there. You are a savant at it.
You've got to find a way. I also want to stay out of this traffic now that they're basically shutting down Grant Park and doing what they're doing with the NASCAR race. I will stay as far away from downtown as I possibly can during that event.
How long is the drive in now?
It's only 37 minutes.
Still good?
Well, 37 miles, so whatever 37 miles takes.
Yeah.
I mean, less than an hour to come in, a little bit like an hour and 5 to get home.
Can't go wrong there. Well, interesting episode today because we are operating in the positive. It's the off season. We can do whatever we want.
Right.
We're operating in the positive.
No rain clouds here.
Rain clouds here. In the scenario that the Chicago Bears are a winning football team, we get weekly Jurko's keys to a Bears victory.
That's right.
Jurko, I want to get your 3 biggest keys to a Chicago Bears winning season. Key number 1, Yerk, by the way, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, all that good stuff 5 days a week. Y'all already know what it is. Yerk, key number 1, where are you going as one of your biggest keys to a Bears winning season?
The key number 1 is obviously the play of Justin Fields. And everything's been put in place for the play of Justin Fields to become a whole lot better. Offensive line is here. They've invested in the offensive line. They've got free agents. They got a top draft choice in the offensive line. So the offensive line has been invested in. You've got a backup tight end. You've got a number 1 wide receiver in DJ Moore. All the investments have been made. So this quarterback has a pretty good chance of getting things done for you. So that's key number 1. Key number 2, that you've got to find a pass rush and you've got to improve your defensive line. Mm-hmm. Your defensive line was woeful last year. It was terrible. Just a pitiful defensive line. And when I say pitiful, I'm talking about in the effect that they had upon the offensive team, the lack of production, not so much the production, the lack of production. It's not specific upon any individual as it is as the group on a whole. And I understand what the Bears were doing last year, and I understand they kind of cut them at the knees. Yeah. Didn't really provide them with the best chances to have success, but they did that to the whole defense. They did it to the whole defense by compromising the defensive line.
Absolutely.
But it resulted in the number 1 pick. It resulted in the trade down. It resulted in your offensive tackle and DJ Moore. So the understanding is the understanding of last year was last year. This year is this year, and they've already made additions within the draft, and they made some additions with free agency. So hopefully the quality and the talent is going to be there. So, boom, that's key number 2. The pass rush is going to have to be there. And then key number 3, I think the defensive backfield is better because you're going to get a pass rush. And if you can get another, I would say key number 3 is to get a pass rushing defensive end. Not to necessarily rely upon the free agents that you already have and or a youngster that you have on your team that had 7 sacks the year before and only mustered up a sack last year. I'd say in free agency, June 1st, if you can lock down one of those guys that's out there, or a Daniel Hunter, or if you can get Yannick Ngakoue in there, any one of those guys would kind of make me feel a little bit better. Even if you sign Yannick Ngakoue just to a 1-year deal as a guy, and then you address your pass rushing situation next year, it's fine. I don't care. Sign him to a 1-year deal. He's a mercenary anyway. He's a guy that comes out and just
dominates everywhere.
A soldier of war. Well, he's a 10-sack guy is what he is.
Absolutely.
10-sack guy, and he's a guy that harasses the quarterback. He's not a 10-sack guy being unblocked. Yeah. He's a 10-sack guy that they're always accounting for him, and they're always looking for him, and they're always make sure that he's accounted for. So if they can do that, I think those are the big 3 for the Chicago Bears this year.
See, I like that third one, and here's what I'll ask you off of that. How are we looking at this team if we're not able to get that guy because I believe it was CBS. They put out their list of it was NFL.com, put out their list of biggest holes teams have. Mm-hmm. And there's about 10 teams on that list that all had the same issue. Defensive end, defensive pass rushers, and Kansas City Chiefs are on there. I believe Miami Dolphins were on there as well. Teams that if I go there, I have a chance of getting a ring. If I go there, I know for a fact they're going to be winning. Are the Bears going to be further down in the totem pole, even though they have more money to spend?
Two different questions.
Yes.
Right? Are the Bears ready to win? I think the Bears are ready to win, but they've got to climb from 3 to 9 before they go from 3 to 12.
Right.
So I think the Bears are in the position to become in the hunt this year. So that's the position I look at them there. As far as all those teams having problems, if you don't get one of the pass rushers that's still available, that means you have faith in the guys that you have.
Mm-hmm.
I think just with the additions that they've made, they're going to improve.
Right.
So just with the additions they have, they're going to improve. I think you're going to get more sacks from your defensive line. But now they've got to find out if those kids that got what kind of pass rush skills they have. And who are the people that are going to be on the field second and long and third and long? Who are the guys that are going to be on the field for the last drive of the half, defensively, and the fourth quarter if you've got a lead? Those are the guys they believe can get to the passer. So, you'll end up finding out who they believe. We don't know yet. You think you got something,
yeah.
But until you see it in training camp, you see it in the games, you're not going to necessarily know. So hopefully, they'll end up finding out exactly what they have or they have not. I'd prefer to get somebody.
Of course.
A mercenary. You've got the money. You can spend it 1 year. You get it back next year. So
I'm in agreement with you on that. But the biggest thing for me is about making an impact with the guys that you've brought in. The problem I've had with Bears GMs in the past is they go out and they get a guy. This guy looked really good with another team, or this guy did this over here, but they don't replace the scenario that allowed that guy to be that guy. That's what my fear is right now with Tremaine Edmonds, with TJ Edwards. I think that Tremaine Edmonds is going to be an absolute dog in this system for the Chicago Bears, but Tremaine Edmonds had a dog of a defensive line standing in front of him. He had dogs at every position. I think that, to me, if this Bears team is going to really get the most out of these guys, you've got to replicate that. And I like the fact that Ryan Poles is talking about going out and getting those guys.
I think it's why they've addressed the defensive line position. You can get all the linebackers you want, and then if you put them out on an island and you got to force them to be men, I think you're going to find they'll be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Because you put up a 245-pound, 250-pound guy against a 320-pound guy. I promise you the 320-pound guy is going to win it 9 out of 10 times. And you can use some elusiveness to get away from guys. You can undercut those guys. You can do this. But when push comes to shove, the bigger guy is usually going to find a way to go ahead and win. That's why it was great to see in the draft that they addressed the defensive line position. So, he got Edmonds eventually going, I got to protect him because I can't come back with the same people I had.
Yeah.
And that's why they went about the business of getting it done. I think Edmonds with cover will be a whole lot better and a whole lot happier. Any linebacker with cover up front, I think is going to end up being happier. So I think they gave him cover, and now you're just waiting for that one final piece. Hopefully they pull the trigger on it.
We've heard that Javon Dexter taking a step. We've heard Zach Pickens is kind of settling in. I like Javon Dexter. You talked about before going from a two-gap system to a penetrating style will help him coming into the NFL. Sure. Let me ask you this, though. Let's say they go out big, right? We've seen this with the Bears last season. Bears tried to add. Bears tried to sign guys. Guys ended up going other places. Let's say they strike out.
Guy failed a physical.
Larry Ogunjobi couldn't pass the physical. Let's say the Bears strike out in this scenario. Are you still optimistic on this defense moving in the right direction?
I don't have to be optimistic. It's not that I have to be optimistic. They addressed 2 positions on the defensive line in the interior.
Mm-hmm.
They believe by addressing those 2 positions, it's going to make the other 2 positions that much better because it might open things up for them. I would prefer them to get somebody, but if they don't get somebody, then guess what? Now the philosophy is all hands on deck. Whoever's ready to rock, you're going to have to rock. Are they better than Ngakoue? No,
not right now.
No. I'd prefer to have Yannick Ngakoue coming off the corner. Yes, that's what I want. Am I ready to go on? Yeah, you have to be. You don't have a choice. You make him an offer, he doesn't want it, he accepts someplace else, then you've got to move on. That's just the way it is. You're not going to break the bank for Ngakwe because he's proven over the course of time that's what he is, a mercenary. He doesn't care about the uniform he wears. He just cares about the fact that he's coming off the edge, and he cares about his production and who he is. And I'm sure he cares about whether the team's winning or not.
Yeah,
because that means he gets a little more money at the end of the day. But when you're on
he
14,
was used as trade bait.
When you're
though,
on 4 and 5, well, like, why?
Because he was the best player to trade away on struggling teams.
Why, if a player is that good, and if a player can get to the quarterback that well, why is he being used as trade bait? Why did he want to leave Jacksonville? Why did he want to?
You think maybe there's a locker room concern there, possibly?
Well, no, I'm not worried about locker room concern. I'm just worried about some guys are just lone wolves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a concern for me, but it's just a recognition of what some guys are. And so I've got no problem. You want to be a lone wolf? I'm going to let you be the lone wolf. And then I understand exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring you in. I'm going to utilize you for your talent. We're going to pay you. We're going to compensate you. And if we're heading to the playoffs and we're heading in the right direction, then you're going to be with us and you're going to be a big part of it. If we're not, then I'm going to utilize you as a trade chip.
Did you have a scenario with a guy like that when you played?
Really.
Y'all didn't have any
problem. I think Charles Haley, toward the end of his career, because he had spent some time, I think, in Dallas, and then I think he went over to San Francisco, ended up winning a Super Bowl in 1994 with them. But I wouldn't say, I mean, people wanted to keep Charles Haley. Charles Haley is a talent. You can come off the edge. People want to keep you. Not really, because free agency only started in 93.
That's true. Yeah.
So it wasn't, and then they started to expand upon, the waiver system. And if a guy was in the league for an X amount of years, you couldn't claim him. He automatically became a free agent. Trades weren't a big part.
How was that in the beginning?
Yeah.
How was that when free agency kind of really started up? Was it a clunky process?
No, the first thing was Plan B free agency.
Yeah.
So they protected 37 guys in the team, and the worst 8 guys in the team got a chance to make money and go free agency. So that wasn't really free agency.
The worst 8 guys.
The worst 8 guys. You got player 38 to 45 were the guys that became free agents. And then once a player had been used up, like Joe Montana and Roger Craig, so when those guys became available and they were too old and Steve Young was ready to replace Montana, then the San Francisco 49ers said, okay, we're going to protect the other guys, and we're going to let our highest price guys have Plan B free agency. So they protected 37. That's how Kansas City ends up with Joe Montana and with Roger Craig at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So see how that ends up working? So now
you're protecting the cheaper guy.
Yeah. Now the owners got smart and said, well, we don't really want to, because a lot of these teams don't want to pay the high price guys that money because they haven't done nothing for them. You'd be paying them for performance for somebody else.
Right.
So that's how it started going. And that's why Plan B didn't work. And that's why Reggie White and Sean Jones and a bunch of guys sued the league. That's why the judge in Minnesota, Doty, ruled in favor of the players. And that's when free agency came along. And that's when Reggie White signed with the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was allowed to sign as the name guy. He automatically became the first free agent, the biggest free agent. And we ended up signing. By the way, the 30th anniversary of NFL free agency is this year, 2023.
Yes.
I believe ESPN is going to do a 30 for 30 on it. A big to do about.
You got to get him in it. Hey, listen.
Well,
powers that be.
I mean, I was the guy that gave up the jersey to Reggie White and welcomed to Green Bay.
What'd that get you?
I was there at the
well, jersey.
Not as much as it should.
No.
No.
Reggie came up pretty big on that. He didn't get you. Would he give you a little steak dinner and?
No. It was a rain delay. It was like a 4-month wait. Christmas.
Yeah.
He gave me a Rolex, which I sold to Joe Sims. It was a used Rolex.
Okay, that's still good.
I mean, Rolex still Rolex.
Still Rolly. Still a Rolly.
Still Rolly. I sold it to Joe Sims for $2,500. He changed the bezel in the face, changed the colors on it, and then I had received the Movado for Christmas, and so I wore that. And Reggie's like, "You don't even wear my watch," and I said, "Well, Reggie," I said, "Hold on." I said, "I gave it to my father. It was a holiday gift." I go, I got this one from my soon-to-be wife. I go, and I'm going to wear that one.
Yeah.
I go, but yours I gave to my father. My father loves it, Reggie.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though that wasn't true.
so
then he accused me of calling it a cheap watch. And I said, Reggie, I never said that's a cheap watch. I go, but in the world of Rolexes, I got the Volkswagen.
It's true.
And you and I both know in the range of Rolexes, they all say Rolex on them. But in the range of Rolexes, There's the Volkswagen and there's the Bugatti.
Yeah.
Right? He gave me the Volkswagen. I did not receive the Bugatti by any stretch of the imagination. So it was easy. And Reggie was fine. I go, but Reggie, I never said that.
Yeah.
So, and Reggie, plain as day, him and I could talk to each other all the time. We had no problems with each other. Reggie is a good man.
Is he one of your favorite teammates?
Oh, boy, that's tough because I've been everywhere. Frankie Winters is one of my favorite teammates. Frankie, Reggie ran by himself. Reggie did what he needed to do. Reggie had bigger plans and bigger things going on.
Yeah.
So Frankie Winters on the offensive side of the ball, him and I talk to each other all the time because we practice across each other. Frankie was a good crap. Don Davey does my investment still to this day. Youngster out of Wisconsin, was a 4-time academic All-American and played with him in Wisconsin at Green Bay and in Jacksonville. So Donnie still does, Davey Equity Management still does my investments until today. And he will continue to do it until the day I die. So, I mean, that's just the way it works. So I'd say Frankie, Don Davey. Anytime I see Leroy or Edgar Bennett, we always had good times together. So, those guys were always funny. So we have a good time. But like one of my guys is the equipment guy, Bobby Monica. He was my equipment guy in Miami for my 1 year. I bumped into him again in Jacksonville. He was there for the 3 years I was in Jayville. And then when I went to Cleveland in 1999, he was there in Cleveland in 1999.
Was he following you or were you following him?
No, I was following him. He was always at these places.
Yeah.
When I get in there. And so he went from Miami to Jacksonville in a expansion situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I think he left Miami and Cleveland was coming back. So he had already done it. So he left Jacksonville and went up to Cleveland to go ahead and do it up there too. That's
always so cool to hear, like the bonds that are built that last even to this day on the football field. I mean, like
2 years ago, I was down in Miami. I played golf with him. I called him and said, "Come down and play golf."
Yeah.
So we went down and played golf together.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah, he's running the XFL now.
Oh, really? Is he in
equipment?
Whoa.
He's an equipment guy. The equipment guy.
I thought he moved up.
He's not running the XFL.
You were saying
he is. He's running the equipment for all of the XFL.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they were coming back and they went a year in a hiatus, all the equipment they had to recollect and they put in storage.
He's the guy doing
patiently. Yeah, he's the one coordinating all of it and getting all the equipment back to the teams.
Do you like the XFL? Are you a fan of it?
I like football, but I believe football has its window. Its window is from middle of July until February. That's football's window for me.
Yeah.
If they were doing it elsewhere in Europe or they're doing someplace else, that's fine. And it's not that. I just think 7 months of football is what you need. I don't need 12 months of football.
You don't need
I need a little bit of a break.
You don't need the minor league system of football in your life?
Well,
which is basically what they've made it, and I kind of like it for that.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think
because it's the last cuts from the team, right?
The minor league of football is college. That's the minor leagues for the NFL. College game. And then when they're good enough to get through the minor leagues, that's when they come. When they graduate from the minor leagues, college football, NCAA, that's when they come to the pros and they get drafted.
But see, let me ask you this, though, because a lot of these guys are the end of the bench guys that don't end up making the team, right? Wouldn't you say if this guy's good enough to be on that team to make that or to compete for that team?
If that guy's good enough, he'd be on the 10 to 12-man practice squad that the NFL already has.
Right. Oh, well, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, that's I guess there's the bottom of that, too. I didn't think about it from that aspect. I was thinking about it from this guy could have been a pro, but they said, you know what, we got too many of your position right now.
It's 400 players.
Boom. Yeah.
They can choose from already.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 400. There's your taxi squad.
Yeah.
They're there. Now, do some of those taxi squad guys go out and do they play in the XFL?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No. They stay in the NFL.
They don't want to get hurt.
Yeah, no, they stay on the practice squad. They don't go there
playing that and get hurt and then not be available for your team. You're asking yourself, what the hell did I do?
Right.
So when you ask me again what the minor leagues is,
to
me, it's not the XFL or the USFL.
You know what?
The minor leagues is college football.
Yeah.
Okay, when they come up, and then your guys are already there because everybody's got 10 to 12 practice squad guys now.
That's true. So, I didn't think of the practice squad guys. I'll give you that. 100%. PJ Walker, an XFL guy though. He's pretty good.
Listen, we had a lot of guys that played in the World League, the Ohio Glory. Remember that when they had that? It was a legitimate.
That's throwback.
Yeah, the Ohio Glory, and they had all those other teams that were playing. George Kuntz, who became a pretty damn good linebacker for the Packers and went up to Seattle. George Kuntz came from the Ohio Glory, came out and ran special teams with us. He was, oh God, where was he from? Oh, he went to school, and I know exactly where it's at. It's down in East Carolina. We got an East Carolina guy, okay?
Yeah.
So he needed it. And there were other guys that came from that. They needed it, and then boom, they got a chance to play in the league, and they did, and they flourished, and that's great. That's fantastic. That's what it's supposed to look like. But that was before we started having practice squads.
Right.
Because 1990 was my first year we had a practice squad, 5 players in Miami. I made the practice squad, right? 1990, Miami, 5 guys on the practice squad.
Yeah.
1991 rolls around. The players sued the NFL because they limited those guys to making $1,000 a week. $1,000 a week for 17 weeks, $17,000. How you living in New York? Even in 1990.
Yeah, you're not living in New York for $17,000.
You know, $17,000 for 5 months.
Right. I was gonna say.
5 months.
I was gonna say you got to go back home after that.
You got 7 guys in one room. You know, I've seen guys do it. You know, the junior hockey players.
Yeah.
Where they bring 13 guys and they put them in one 4-bedroom apartment and say survive between all of you.
There's a reality show there. There's a reality show there,
New
New York.
You ever did that? You find those guys drive each other crazy. They want to kill each other. All right, so 91, they sue. 4 weeks later, they say, okay, you're going to get paid $3,000.
Yeah.
So we come back and you're making $3,000. Now in $51,000 a year, if you spend the whole year on the practice squad, you could find a way to survive. So I got called back to Miami. It was 1990. No, 89 was the first year for that with Plan B free agency. So it was 89 was the first year. They made 1,000. 1990, they cut me. I went back home. And 4 weeks later, they called me and said, come back to Miami. We want you on the practice squad. So they paid me from that point on, week 5 until we beat Kansas City. We lost to the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. So I got paid for the rest of the season. It was fantastic. The next year I went to Green Bay, got cut. They put me on the practice squad again for 11 weeks. Then Sean Patterson tore his knee apart. And then they activated me for the final 5 weeks of the season.
What's the mindset, right? Because we're going to have guys that are going to go through that training camp. A bunch of guys, right? They're going to go through the getting cut. Right. What's the mindset?
So the mindset
when the axe comes?
You've got to play to the level of the league.
Mm-hmm.
Don't count the bodies that are there and say, all right, I'm better than him, and them. If you can't play above the level of the league, they're going to find somebody else who's going to be released, and they're going to bring him in who plays at the level of the league. So if you can't play at the level of the league, you've got to go. That's just the way it works. Right. Or if you're young enough, they'll develop you and say, well, we think he's got the talent to be able to do it, but he's got to improve. And so we'll give him a year with us, and we're going to see if he improves. So you can't be surprised. The year I got cut in Green Bay, we kept 5 defensive linemen. We were playing a more of an odd man front, and we play even man front when we went to the pass rush. And they brought Tony Bennett, out of I forget where. Hell of a player, though, one of the original Tony Bennett's. And Bryce Pop off the corner with 2 defensive linemen. That's why we only kept 5. And I was on the practice squad. So you bring your 2 linebackers up, and they're rushing off the ends, and they were pretty damn good rushers. Right. And you put 2 defensive linemen in the middle, and that's what you ran. So when one of those guys got hurt, I got activated. Yeah. But only 5. And most teams don't keep 5 defensive linemen. Yeah. You know, and one of those guys was inactive during the game. So we played with 4, right? But Pop and Tony Bennett would come off the edge.
While you're on the practice squad, what is the daily grind like of a practice squad?
You go through the meetings. You go through the meetings like everybody else does, but you've got to do all the offensive stuff. You got to do all the offensive stuff and all the defensive stuff. And you've got to take all the reps that are out there, and you got to give them a look. That's what you've got to do. Scout team. That's what you were. Practice squad is scout team. You know, if a guy's tired at running back, we need you at running back. You're a body. Basically, that's what you were. You were a body to be used and utilized. And when you weren't there, you were discarded. Now, the key is picking up.
What's Jurko look like a running back?
Well, I look pretty good. I was a great pass receiver, too. I used to love running routes from Marino.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he just gunned the ball. I felt like Nat Moore, Duper, Clayton, all on the team at the time. It was fun. You know, I had fun. So practice to me was always fun. So I never had an issue.
Right.
But you got to keep a positive attitude. And then you got to, if you can gain knowledge while you're there and understand concepts, then that's even better. So I was like a sponge. I'm in the offensive thing looking at, they're talking about what kind of formations and this and that personnel we are. They're picking it all up, picking it all up. The more you know about offense, the easier it is to play defense. Right? The more you know about defenses, it's easier to play offense. So.
That's what Bill Belichick's philosophy was on play callers last season, though.
well, I mean, Belichick went into that year, and Belichick simply said, if this thing goes wrong, it's on me.
He did. I give him that.
I'm the guy that's going to try this. I'm the guy that thinks it's going to work. So if we do it and it works, great. If we do it and it doesn't work, don't look at anybody else but me.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that's responsible for what we're doing right here. Well, so that's fine. Okay, he tried something. He was wrong.
Yeah.
Life goes on. Guess what? He'll be more cautious when he thinks about doing it again.
He's got an offensive guy.
Right. Well, thank you. But, I mean, he's a mensch in the fact that he said, I'm the guy that takes responsibility. I'm the guy that did it. I'm the guy that screwed it up.
I do give him credit for that. I was talking about that the other day where there was when you look at a scenario like that, one, you got to give him credit for having the balls to even try it.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I look at the situation with the young quarterback. Okay, you've already got a connection with, was it Bill O'Brien was there and he was with him at Alabama, all of that, right? So I kind of liked it in that sense. And then when it didn't work, he was just like, that's not me. That's my bad. I got
no problems with what Belichick does.
Yeah, he's
even trying to cheat. We're all trying to cheat.
You know what? I've said
if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. That's the way it works.
I've said this so much, and even it popped up again with when everything went down with the Aces winning in the WNBA championship. They won the championship. Everybody's got an issue with it, but they still won the championship. They don't have an issue with it.
Right.
And I feel like there's always times in Chicago where we want to hold our teams to this integrity. We want our teams to be holier than thou, and we've got good guys on the team. And I said, the teams that usually win, though, it's usually the teams that don't have all the choir boys and all the, you know what I mean?
Listen, Jordan pushed off on Russell.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's trying to gain an advantage.
Greatest offensive foul of all time.
Yeah, but he was creating room for himself. That's what he was doing.
Yeah.
They didn't call it because he was Michael Jordan. Okay. But he did that intentionally for a reason. To create some room for himself, hoping that they wouldn't call it.
Yeah.
And they did.
And they did.
So he made the shot, and there you go.
Let's finish it out on this year.
That's only cheating. I like it.
It's only cheating. It's only a little bit of cheating. Let's finish it out on this, Yerk. Outside of Justin Fields and DJ Moore, who's the player that you're going to be watching the closest this season?
Jalen Johnson, easy answer for me. He's the guy that you got to decide whether you're going to pay or not. So his one interception may be thrilling to him, but it's not so much thrilling to me. I'd like to see more productivity out of him. And then the kids that's opposite of him.
Tyreek Stevenson?
Yeah, Tyreek Stevenson Stevenson from the new kid.
Yep.
To see how
Miami.
Yeah, he comes in. If he comes in now, he starts picking the ball off.
Yeah.
You got a rookie coming in, making things happen for you. And you got the guy on the other side not making things happen for you. That make you scratch your head just a little bit. If I'm going to pay a guy, I'm going to pay a stud.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to pay a guy that can't get it done. I'm going to pay a guy that can get it done.
Well, I think that's my biggest question with Jalen Johnson right now is he a Flus guy? Is he a Flus type of guy? They've got a type. You look at every player on that defensive side of the ball that they've brought in, they've got a type. Long arms, a little bit taller build,
right.
Good frame,
right?
Quick.
That's linebackers, defensive line. And he hasn't quite established what he likes back there, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what it all turns out.
I mean, they drafted Brisker and the other guy, so.
And Jaquan Brisker had showed out. Any guys you're looking at here that might take a bigger step than most think? I think Jaquan Brisker could be a DPOY candidate this season.
I'm looking around. I think this is the year that Mooney's got to do something.
Yeah, 100%.
He's really got to separate.
Going back to the slot, I like
right, but he's got to separate himself from everybody.
Yeah.
So if Mooney's going to do something, I think this is the year that he's got to separate him. I don't know what to expect from Cole Kmet. I think I'm going to get the same thing I always get: 60 catches, 600 yards, and a handful of touchdowns, 4 or 5.
Courtney predicted on this podcast that Cole Kmet may be switching places with Robert Tonyan coming in here really quick because Tonyan knows the offense. Tonyan's a production guy, got good hands, already going to be able to work his way into the system.
So, I mean, he's at a crossroads. Kmet is at a crossroads, so we'll see.
We started this thing talking about schools and college. You know what I mean? Like he's a guy that's a 5-year guy at the tight end university. You know what I mean? I'm like, how many years you got to go there? You should be teaching it by now.
Well, it's COVID too, isn't it? Wasn't that a COVID year over at Notre Dame? for Kmet? Is that who you're talking about?
No. So every year, he goes to the tight end U where like they get all the tight ends together. I'm like, Cole Kmet's been in this thing ever since he's gotten here.
Right. At some point, you got to graduate.
When are you teaching it?
Right.
I thought this was a one-year school.
I always thought the one thing that he did was he always fought the football.
What do you mean by that?
Fights the football. So he never catches things smoothly. When he does catch it smoothly, he goes to put it away, and it's always kind of fumbling around on him,
Yeah.
It's like he never can smoothly transition, get a firm grip on him, and have possession of it. I mean, he's laid it on the carpet a number of different times.
Yeah.
Or when he's going to make a catch on a key third down, the ball hit his hands, then he'll hit his shoulder pad, then it'll come back into his hands. He's always, to me, fighting the football. It's never silky smooth.
Yeah.
It's never Kelsey-esque.
He's no Travis Kelce.
Well, we're not saying that. I'm just saying the way the guy receives the ball.
Yeah.
So to me, it's always kind of rough. It's a little too.
It's not a smooth transition.
No,
doesn't have soft hands, is what you're saying, basically.
Right. It's like a robot. He's robotic in that regard.
Yeah. Very interesting.
That's what I mean about fighting the football.
Yeah. Very interesting to see. We'll see what this Bears team ends up being. But hey, that is another week.
9-8. That's where they get to 9-8. I'm doing backflips down the hallways.
I will record it.
That means they're in the hunt.
I will record it.
Yep.
I need to see it.
Well, I can't do a backflip anymore. I'll hire somebody to do backflips.
Hey, that is another week of the Chicago Bears podcast. We appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love as you always do. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the page, and drop a bird down in the comments, man. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. We'll see you Monday with Lance Briggs. Peace.